It's Mark and Cindy on the radio, 10 to 11 a.m. Well, it's Mark and Cindy, they've got a morning show. Every day I listen in. We're gonna talk about what's going on in town. You never know who's gonna come around on the Mark and Cindy
Welcome,
show.
ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning,
It's Mark
Montgomery
and
County
Cindy
and
on
everybody
the radio.
around. And thank you, Jared Starrett, for being in our
That
ears
Jarrett, and
every
he
morning.
sings it the same way every time. The
He
man
wrote-
is gold.
He wrote that just for us.
Did.
I don't know. There could have been some other Mark and Cindy
Yes,
shows.
and by the way, Cindy, us is Mark and Cindy here on the Mark and Cindy Show,
That's
and
right.
you are live right now, unless you're not, unless you're on the archives, in which case, pretend you're live. We do have, as I've been saying all along, that Don Hampton was going to be here, and it's largely due to his schedules.
Well, I'm
and
so
to
sorry
my,
that
poor
he didn't make
scheduling.
it again. I mean, what are we going to do if this guy doesn't show up?
I don't know what
I
we're
think we're
going
going to have to start
It's gonna
doing
be
some
terrible.
bad things.
Cindy quit it. He's here today. ladies and
April
gentlemen.
Fools. See, you forgot it was April Fool's Day,
I
didn't you?
did.
I knew it.
There was in the newspaper
I didn't
some
know what to
silly
do.
thing about April. Oh, Ken Hoffman. I don't know if you read him. Did an April Fool's thing about if he said if the Astros lose the first opener and it's with the Yankees. I said the first time it's ever happened. If they lose, that the Candles. Sutton. What's the name of the place? It's a fruit drink. Anyway, if that place will never.
Minute Maid.
Minute Maid Park. Thank you so much. Isn't
Boy.
that anyway?
I
And this
hadn't
is
drank
so
orange
worth
juice.
it. I'm glad y'all held on to this. He said they will not be serving beer there all year. And then that was his trivia deal. Why
Mm-hmm.
not? And then the deal is that they won't serve beer because they lost their opener. Get it?
Opener.
Isn't that just a hoot?
That is
I
really
could
cute.
just
That's really cute. I went in and told the kids, okay, go back to sleep, go back to sleep. There's no school today. They're not going to have school today.
Oh, that
and they
is
went,
so cruel.
Thank you. And Cindy went, it's April Fool's because I heard it on your show.
That
Y'all
little
talked. I said, you heard.
Cindy is
I don't think we
so-
talked about it, but that's where she thought she heard it. And that was a good April Fool's joke. But
That was.
I got to tell you,
You got a better one.
it was terrible. It was awful. Because normally I try not to lie.
Well, yeah,
But
we
that
know
day
that.
is so much fun to release all that evil that you have in you to want to do this. And so I had a photographer working for me that was so ate up with Steve Morris. He was a guitar player, and it was only guitar players knew about him and bowed to him in the east.
That's
every
why I don't
morning.
know him?
Steve Morris. He was just a guitar player, just amazing guitar player. Played on a lot of different bands and stuff, but he was the best. And this guy was just loved Steve Morris. So when he came in that day, I told him, I said, Eric, you are going to be so excited because I just found out they're sending us to Galveston to shoot on the Strand, and guess who's playing? Steve Morris. So you're going to, and he's going, wow, he's so excited. That is so great. And he went on, and the more he went on, the more guilty I felt that he now is just
I
he's going to
guess
call
so.
people and do all that. And I'm going, how can I tell this guy? So the other photographer, I had another deal with him, and I didn't feel so guilty. But he came in, and I told him that we were going to be sent to this place that where these porn stars were going to be. They're shooting in Houston, and
that's
Time
believable.
Warner wants us to go and shoot it and to promote their the thing they have at night after 10 o'clock on Playboy, and he is just frothing at the mouth. Oh my, we're going to get to do that. I can't believe it. This is like the best day of my life. And he's just going on and on about this. And I said, but I'm not going to do it. And he goes, what do you mean you're not going to do it? We got to do it. No, I am not going anywhere, and I'm not going to shoot anything like that. Are you crazy? And he is just begging on his, Cindy, I'm on my knees, and he was on his knees. Please let's do that. And I went, no, we're not going to do it. I'm calling him right now. Cindy, you can't do this to me. You can't do this to me. You gotta let me do this. Come on, I'll shoot it. I'll go in there. You don't have to even see anything. I'll do it. And I'm dialing it. And so I finally said, look, you got to stop this. You're making a fool out of yourself. Oh, by the way, it's April Fool's, and he fell over backwards. You got to be careful about what you get to a person.
Yeah,
and then
I don't like
you
them.
could be in trouble. But with Eric, luckily I was doing a series for PBS at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And Steve Morris was going to be at this place, and I'm trying to think, how am I going to work Steve Morris into this series? It's about deafness and things like that. Well, we got there and found out that the drummer had lost some of his hearing because of drumming, and he was a drummer for a lot of different bands. And so I did the interview with him. We talked about deafness. Eric got to sit and talk to Steve Morris and, shoot him, be around him, and it was better than what I had even planned before. And so I got myself out of that, but it's most expensive, time-consuming, get myself out of a bad April Fool's joke. So you do have to be careful about that.
You do, and you do it again in a minute.
Yes,
I'm
I
sure.
would. I'm sure you know me so well.
I'm not going to go into detail with this, but the best I ever saw was at the Pasadena Citizen. It was years ago, and I woke up one morning and, as I always do for school, Mom, this is the last time I'm calling you. Anyway, I get up and Mom says, "Oh, you're not going to believe this," and she puts down the Pasadena Citizen in front of me. And y'all I don't know if you're familiar with the saying, just in a monument, but it's got a big star on it for one reason, and that is, maybe more reasons, but whenever it was during the Depression they made it, and whenever whichever one of the New Deal programs came out, they said you can build this monument if you don't make it taller than the Washington Monument. We want to have the tallest monument.
Oh.
And so we built it, and the monument it is not taller, and then we put a star on it, and it is taller than the Washington Monument. Hey, give us money and we'll jerk you around any way we can. But here's what they did. On the front page, I look at it, and there is the star, and the headline is, "Star Falls Off Monument Crushes Vehicle." And they did something that was the star on top of a Volkswagen. And it was decent graphic arts for back then, 1966, I think it was. And, it didn't fool me for a minute, but I was looking at it, that is genius. It was so beautiful because, as kids, that's what we'd talk about. Wow, that star fell down, and it did. Anyway, that was the 4th of July, and I don't think we need to beleaguer it much more, nor do we need to beleaguer our listeners much more with Noah, but I did want to mention that I did see it. And
I love it.
And that's what I did at the first. I don't know. I went with Carl, Cindy.
Did you go with Carl?
I went with Carl.
Wow.
He's a friend of ours, and he's actually a preacher.
He's a preacher.
And he had no qualms about it, and he said pretty much what we've been. Don Hampton's with us right now. We're going to introduce him later, but he is sitting here, and
but he does shake his head.
He
well.
does. He's a good
so
head
involved.
shaker. And we were anyway talking about this before we went on the air. And it was, Carl and I went realizing we're not there to learn a Bible lesson or to see what's happened. We've heard about it. We just want to see, some action.
How they treated it.
Anyway, and we saw it, and like I say, I slept through. I was hoping I snore, and I was thinking, oh, gosh, I hope I'm not snoring. And I was especially sleepy when I went in there anyway. But the movie. But I missed some of the descriptions and stuff. I learned stuff I never even thought about. Not learned it, but I'd never things I never. For example, Noah thinking, and I'm not giving away much, I don't think, nor do I care, that they are supposed to die out themselves. That God just wanted the animals to live.
That's what he thought.
That's what the director added to it. I never even thought of that stuff. It's not in the Bible, but that's interesting. And the other thing that was the stupidest thing. I'm watching this, and they're talking about whenever the sons of God marry the daughters of men, the sons of God weren't supposed to do that. And anyway, these angels came out and rock creatures like you would see on not Harry Potter, but Lord of the Rings, only worse.
Right.
Just rock guys, and they helped build the ark and all of this, and I'm looking at it and I'm saying, invent a creature, do something, but not the rock men. It's their, 4 arms, and I'm not giving it away because it's there. It's right there.
I wasn't even going to tell him about that because I thought that should be a special surprise because it was. Now, he did explain that. Did you hear the narrative?
I must have been in the restroom.
That he said, he said that he talked about the sons of God that had come down and had mated with the women that were on the earth. But he was so mad because they had been now tainted with the sins that the people of earth had done.
Yes.
So he wasn't going to let them back in, and instead he let them be encrusted with the earth. And they came up out of the earth becoming rocks with his spirit in there. And that's what the glow out of their eye, their little rock eye is. And
that was an inopportune time to go.
Well, see, then they were so good that he then forgave them at the end and let their spirit come out of the rock. And that's what that was about.
Beautiful.
You missed
I've read that. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I didn't believe when I read it.
Saw that coming.
Yeah.
You saw the rock people come?
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't see
Well,
the
you ever
rock
seen a
people
Darren
come.
Aronofsky movie?
You're right. See, and he had taken from different writers and different movies. He had taken things. They could tell he had been influenced here and there.
Mm-hmm.
So unless you knew all that, you're like, what was this guy?
Someone in the writer's room is like, you know what this thing's missing? We got water. We got arcs. we need rock people.
We need some rock people.
bands, anyway.
Rock people. And so
Sheesh.
that was pretty interesting.
Don, what's the last Don Hampton here? What's the last movie you saw? Do you recall?
Oh, don't even talk to me about
yeah.
movies. I never get to the movies. What was the last movie? Lincoln?
Lincoln.
Seriously?
Lincoln was
Now, see-
that was good.
That's
Hey,
the
that's a
last
good.
one I
That's a
got
good
to.
note to end on.
That
Until the next time.
right. Oh, yeah. I do want to follow up on this. This is a very important story. Something Don's involved in that I do want to talk
okay,
about when it's
okay.
over. Not when it's over. I mean, during after the first break.
See, we need to create these cliffhangers so that
we
people
do.
will come back
Teasers
after the first
were not
15
nearly
minutes.
as good as a lot of the TV shows that give you this teaser and you're waiting for it. It comes back and that was nothing. What did they? Wow, the world's ending tomorrow
What
and it's not
happened?
going to. I'm so upset.
No, but they did find. They are just certain, no doubt about it, that they found the Holy Grail. Did you
Son
know
of
that?
God, I did not know.
Today, no. And
we
why
found
they
it
would
today.
announce it on April Fool's Day, I don't know.
I got it.
But they said they found it. They're so sure this has got to be the one. I never knew what the Holy Grail was.
It's sure not mentioned as of any. Well, it's not mentioned in the Bible,
Do you
but
know? Do you know what it is? I mean, you understand it's
the
that
last
chalice,
cup,
but it's
yeah.
the last cup that he drank from. And unless you've seen Raiders of the Ark, you may have missed that totally.
true.
But it was like encrusted with all these jewels and all, so that they could move it from place to place. And it was given to the
Oh.
king of Spain. But anyway, and then it got into Egypt some way, and it's been sitting in storage. They finally brought it out. When they brought it out, some people started taking notice of it and doing some study on it and research, and they found that's it. That's it. It's been sitting there all that time. And people want to see what they feel like is the last thing that Christ may have touched. And so this was like a big deal. And I just don't think, I don't believe that that's what he would want us worshiping.
Well, I don't know. It
Is the
really it got my interest at the very beginning when Monty Python did the Holy
Right,
Grail.
right.
That was
I think he made it the most
excellent.
popular
I
and
laughed.
awareness.
It's one of those things. I'm laughing at some things that I know people. Oh, that's so sacrilegious. And yes, but it was a comedy and all. I would get so tickled, especially at the castle wall when John Cleese is up there and says, "Oh yeah, we've got the Holy Grails." Anyway, it was pretty cool.
So that you like that kind of
Yeah,
humor.
I do.
I never
It's
never
sad.
got into them, except one time I saw a little skit, and it had to do with bathroom humor, and that I thought that was
Yeah.
funny.
Oh.
But normally their stuff was either so deep or so weird. It just
It is. And what was
English
good about
humor
them is
is
they would
strange.
come and go. I mean, you don't like that? It's gone.
yeah,
Here's-
right.
And Don, one thing I really like, Don's a writer also, is I was watching the documentary on Monty Python and all. In some episodes they're going and all of a sudden somebody comes in and says, "This is silly. Let's end it right. This is silly. Get out of here." He's a colonel or something. And they were saying, we did that because we would be in the middle of something and say, well, what do we do now? I have no ending for this. Bring a guy in and say it's over.
Rock people.
Rock people. Let's have
The
them.
worst dilemma ever.
Yes.
How to end
this thing. We've
Now
got-
and how many times have you sat in a movie theater and you're sitting there and the end comes and everybody's going,
Oh my gosh.
and it dips to black, but you're waiting for the next scene to come up, and there goes
No
the end.
Country for
And you
Old
go,
Men.
Sam said that yesterday. He said, I just watched that movie again, and I know they had no idea how to end that.
did.
I
They
thought
had
it was
no
a perfect
idea
ending.
how
Oh,
to end
yeah,
it. It was.
Are you serious?
It did not leave. It didn't give you any closure.
No, that monologue was exactly the way it needed to end. Tommy Lee Jones in that scene, I was sitting there going like, "What's going? This is great."
I never
Everyone's
said
going,
that,
"That's
but
that
that
was
was.
I just like. I mean, come on, you didn't like his outlook on life.
Well, I didn't like the end where it just went black. I wanted to know what happened to the bad guy and all this.
Yeah.
And that's when I was in the theater and somebody yelled. I mean, we're in the theater and somebody yells the F word. When it ends, right there, it's black. And he yells and everybody's going, right. Hey. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're
There's
coming back in
closure
just
for
a
you.
minute after that thing with Don Hampton. We're going to find out so much about the entertainment world and Don's. I'm interested in his directing and all. I know some of his techniques, but we
And
can
you
learn
were
so much
listening
from this man.
to the Mark and Cindy Show.
Right here on
I love the
Lone
music. You've got to
Star
talk like that
Internet Radio.
with this kind of music.
Okay.
The East Texas Dream Center is in need of your help. We are a nonprofit Christian organization that houses women and children who are trying to get their lives back after being homeless, abused, or addicted. We are conveniently located at 301 South 1st Street, Conroe, Texas, 77301, right here in Montgomery County. Our needs are financial and every needs of gasoline, cleaning supplies, laundry soap, Lysol, and whatever else God puts in your heart. To help our ladies and children, please consider a donation. You may visit our website at www.easttexasdreamcenter.org. Again, so you don't forget, it's www.easttexasdreamcenter.org. Donations are tax deductible. Remember what Jesus said, with God, nothing is impossible.
Do you ever wonder what's going on in the business community? Are you looking for ways to get plugged in? Cassandra Roshan here, Director of Membership Development with the Greater Conroe, Lake Conroe Area Chamber of Commerce, and I would like to invite you to tune in to Chamber Chat. Tune in the first Tuesday of every month at 11 a.m. so you will be in the know for all Chamber happenings for the month. Each month, the Chamber offers 2 free lunch and learn sessions, a networking breakfast, business after hours, membership luncheon, as well as many other special events throughout the year. I will give you a rundown of all programs and events for the month, as well as interview our speakers and hosts of these events. So grab a cup of coffee and tune in to Chamber Chat the first Tuesday of every month at 11 a.m. Chat with you then.
How did you get a hold of my music recital? How did
Really,
you do
that
that?
was-
That was amazing.
You just gotta wait for it, okay?
Yeah.
You just gotta wait for it.
That's just
Wait for the
And
drums.
what you have been waiting for, ladies and gentlemen, is Don Hampton, who is here right now, and we're getting ready to find out a little more about him and learn so much from him concerning the entertainment world. I tell you, Don, I never said, Don, give me a resume or anything, and I thought I would look in the program for Inherit the Wind and see something there, and I opened it up, and there was nothing there about Don. He had everything about the actors and all. And I went to the internet, and holy cow, I'm sorry I did. There's everything here. I mean,
well, he didn't want you guys to be intimidated. by
I
him,
guess
so.
not. I guess
You
not.
know,
Anyway,
that-
so many things from not only stage acting, TV, soap operas. This guy's been on Walker, a Texas Ranger, things and all. And I mean, it's everything from, in some instances, like Al and I have been in extras, but in some, this guy was a big part of things, and in so many deals. And he's directing, and something I've never wanted to do myself. But you direct. How do you know? Where do you know Don from, by the way, Cindy?
The other night,
From
I came
the
up
other
to him
night,
and said,
exactly.
Hey, Don.
Yeah.
No, I came in and acted like. See, wasn't that good acting?
That
You
was
thought
beautiful.
I really knew
I
him
did.
for a long
She did
time.
good. Don, how did the directing thing start? Why wouldn't you prefer acting, or is that?
Well, of course, I started out as an actor. That was my passion in life, and then there came a point in New York when I just sort of said, I think I could do that better. And part of my training at University of Texas was directing. I was a acting directing major, so I had the basic tools. I had just never been that interested in it. More interested in acting. But at some point, I guess after so many years of working with actors and watching other people, it just occurred to me that maybe I could direct. And I did my first show. A friend of mine wrote a play that I couldn't believe how good it was. Mm-hmm. And he had a vision for it, and he shared that vision with me, and we produced it and put it on.
Wow.
And I've been doing it ever since.
Goodness.
That's my favorite thing, is to work with playwrights.
But in acting and crossing over to director, and I've done the acting part, and then when I got to start directing, and I was directing like TV commercials, that kind of stuff, and then I did some more play and then conceptual stuff that you had to tell the people what to do. I love the control. It was so great. It was like, and I'm very honest about that. I want to make sure that it goes the way I think in my head, and the way you do that is you write it and then you direct it, so it's perfect. You don't have to quibble with the writer.
Right. If you're writing it yourself, now of course you do. You can get into some quibbles when you don't write it, but the control issue is something that I think is very appealing to a lot of people who want to be directors.
And especially you've been an actor and you've had so many directors telling you things, and you're like, I know this better. You don't let me do it.
Exactly. But just from a point of view of the total picture, because to me that's the joy of directing, is to be able to control that final output. And it's a big picture thing, and I've always sort of been a big picture guy.
Well, and you don't mind. You want to either take the credit or the defeat of the thing. If it's wrong, I'll take that responsibility.
Exactly. I'll take that responsibility as long as I have some modicum of control.
Right.
But
exactly.
Don, the credit and all that you deserve and all, I don't think directors get from the public. You're getting it from the inner circle of actors and all. And as an actor, it means a great deal. I'm with these people in a play, and when they don't like something you did or whatever, they'll sure tell you, and that's great. The people in public can overlook things or whatever, and they are so kind. That's one thing. Directing, working with actors. I know some actors, and I have been one, and we are a tough, as you know, outfit. And there's some of us that take things well, and there's some that don't. And that would just mess me up being involved in there. It's like teaching teachers. We're the worst.
Oh, brother.
Well, I mean, I've always said that being a director, 90% of getting a job done is getting the right cast. And part of getting the right cast is being sure that the personalities are people that you as a director feel like you can handle and deal with, no matter how big a diva you may believe them to be, or how, the size of the ego that you're going to encounter. But it all boils down to what you as a director think you can handle, and then, just dealing with it. I've always been pretty easy with people. I try not to be too didactic as a director, and let people find their own way, and just try to help them find their way, as opposed to telling them you got to do it like this.
But have you found actors that you sense they have the insecurity that the way to make them feel secure is to give them the micromanaging type of directing?
Well, when you're dealing with and I don't mean this in a derogatory term, but when you're dealing with amateur
be derogatory.
actors,
Yes, amateurs.
well, no, but when you're dealing with amateur actors, you don't have that capability to say, well, you're not quite getting this. I'll see you later, and get somebody else, because you're not paying them.
That's right.
They're there on their own time, and you have to treat them with the respect and the kindness that they're due for giving of their time and their energy, and find a way to work with them. On this show, Inherit the Wind, we had a lot of people who had never been on the stage before, and I told some of my friends, I'm not sure that I'm up for giving this many acting classes during the time when I'm supposed to be directing.
Right.
Blocking
That's
is
gotta
blocking,
be
and
hard.
teaching acting is teaching acting, and it's two different animals. But I've been really pleased with the kids over there. They
Oh,
really,
man, no kidding.
they just
A good crop. One thing Don does that I really appreciate, when he's got us all out there at the beginning or the end, he can come across as, we're going to do this, and don't ever do this. I mean, he's always being tactful. But when he's one-on-one with somebody, there is no sense of, I'm going to kill you. And I've had that with directors. I've had them put their hands on me. Okay, and I don't like to be scared into doing something that I'm scared enough as it is. But Don has a way of just getting stuff out of you that you didn't see there yourself. And the other tough thing that would be for me is to, you get a play, you've got a vision. This is what I want.
Absolutely.
This is what I want. And then you get that actor up there. That's not my vision. That's and I know he's seen that with me sometimes and all, but that would be a bear.
It's really difficult, because this play in particular, you've got these great roles. I mean, there's some really great roles in this show, and me personally, and I can only speak for myself, but I think other directors are the same way. When I read a play, knowing that I'm going to direct it, I people it with actors that I know. You know, I can't. You can't help it. You think, oh, wait a minute, Mark Hader would be great in that role. Okay, so I'm reading the play and I'm hearing Mark doing the lines, and you know, you do that with a lot of people, and you put them in these roles, and then something happens and they're not the actor or they're not the person. They've changed since the last time you worked with them, and the vision just isn't there.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, what happened?
What? I
So
mean,
Mark's
you've
going
got
like,
so
"You're talking
much
about me, aren't you?"
experience here. Is there any, you don't need to name names or anything, but any times you had to say, I can't, we need to get somebody that can do this the way I was looking at, or?
In this show, there were not. I'll go back to a different show.
Right, that's what
this
I mean.
This show was like, there were so many men in it, and it was such a juggling act to get it cast, because there were men who had good acting experience. There were men who had some acting experience but were more right for the role. It was really difficult to put the right men in the right role. And you know, you always second guess yourself. Yeah. But once before, I did Christmas Story with you. Mm-hmm. Well, Texas Rep asked me to do it again, and I this young man came in to play the
Ralphie is an
the
adult.
Ralphie, and he just looked perfect, and he was great in the audition. And that was the last performance I saw out of him. And 2 nights before we opened, 3 nights before we opened, the artistic director came to me and said, Don, this kid isn't cutting it. And I'm like, you're right, he's not. He said, what can we do? So we got the kid and his dad in, and we sat down and we had a talk. And we said, if you don't come in tomorrow and follow the directions that you've been given, we're going to have to replace you.
And how old was he?
12.
He had to be about 12.
12.
That's old enough to.
He was
that,
he
yeah.
was very mature, but he wasn't taking direction. You know, he was doing it his way, which didn't follow the playwright's line of focus. And I mean, that's what you're looking for in an actor, that the actor accomplishes what the director is trying to say overall. And you know, it's easy for an actor to get sidetracked in their own character and what they think it should be, as opposed to their reason for being there vis-a-vis the act. Right.
Well, everybody
And
has
I'm
seen
definitely one of those also.
And what's
that
difficult,
it-
everybody has seen that show, seen the movie, and so they're expecting something on stage. And I do want to ask you, when we get back from this break, about the seeing someone out in public and going like, I gotta have that person, because they have the look that you think needs to be in the play. You're listening to Mark and Cindy's show. We're talking to Don Hampton, a well-known actor, director, and all that. It goes on and on. But we're on Lone Star Radio, and we will be right back after this. Don't miss it.
Hello, this is Dennis Nelson, inviting you to come with me through the doorway of imagination and into the theater of the mind. The Players Theater Company Old Time Radio Hour presents a play every Saturday night at 7 p.m. on Lone Star Internet Radio. Be it drama or comedy, thriller or love story, every exciting episode is carefully chosen straight from the golden age of radio and performed live by talented actors, musicians, and sound effects crew. Every sound you hear will be 100% live and homemade. Anything can happen. So join us, please, every Saturday night at 7 p.m. for the Players Theater Company Old Time Radio Hour, right here on Lone Star Internet Radio.
Hey y'all, Montgomery County Emergency Assistance is presenting their first annual Don't Mess with Texas Women Concealed Handgun class on Saturday, April 12th at the Conroe Shooting Center, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's limited to 30 participants. It's just $100, with all proceeds benefiting Montgomery County Emergency Assistance. Register online at mcea-tx.org. Bring your gun and let's have some fun. Don't Mess with Texas Women Concealed Handgun Class, April 12, 2014, and all proceeds benefit Montgomery County Emergency Assistance.
As I was walking down the street one day,
And we're back.
Is that
With
part of the
Don
same
Hampton.
music?
Yes,
Oh,
that's what I
okay.
said. He
All
kept
right.
saying you have to wait for it. You have to wait for it. So
that
the
was
start.
almost not worth
That's
waiting.
the
Chicago
beginning.
Transit Authority, one of the
Jeez.
best albums ever.
Okay.
I never heard that. Must have been not
You-
been on the radio cut.
You don't know Neil Diamond? It's,
You-
okay.
You don't know who Chicago is?
Yeah, I do know Chicago. Peter
Okay.
Cetera is.
Man,
I
you're
prefer
killing
him
me.
over.
I think he's
many-
playing next door coming up.
Hokey smokes! Right now, I
think that
prefer
finished,
Don
didn't
Hampton.
Is
here.
that old? Is that okay? Whoops.
That was Saturday night.
Oh, I missed it. Anyway, Don Hampton's here, and I want to get off on one other thing. But first, I wanted to ask him this basic question: is how do you get a role for? I mean, a play. You're well known in Conroe. Do you just they say here's what's going to come out? I want this, or are you involved in the picking the plays that are coming out, or
You know, this is something that has evoluted, as our young friend in the play would say, over the years with the Crichton Players. That we started out with play selection committees. Now we have a committee that looks at plays, that sort of collects plays that that the directors submit, that people in the audience submit, and then our artistic director, Joe Visor, sort of sits down and hashes it out with those folks as to what could work, what might be really fit together. You know, putting a season together is not like just selecting one play. You've got 7 plays. They've got to somehow be working together for the dates. I mean, there's so much to it. Basically, none of the plays that I submitted this year were offered to me. And when I was offered Inherit the Wind, I said, I don't want to do Inherit the Wind. I did a courtroom play last time. I did
To Kill a
To Kill a
Mockingbird.
Mockingbird, and it was kill me, the movement of the set, having to have a gallery and this and that. I don't want it. And besides that, it's got 40 men in it, and I never find 40 good actors in this county. It's just not going to happen, especially with all the new theaters around and, you know, the talent being spread. And
They
then I
believe you?
read it. And once I read it, I was hooked. I said, okay, I'll find a way to make this work. I won't have a set that breaks everybody's back, and that's how we came up with the projections.
Very
kidding.
creative.
And
really
you know, I
creative.
was just determined not to have 3 2-ton pieces of scenery to move in and out. I mean, I nearly killed the actors in Mockingbird, and it was worth it visually for what we got. But gosh, I felt so sorry for my cast every night. They were breaking their backs out there, you know, to make that set
Oh,
work.
gosh, yes.
This one, you move chairs and
Really?
furniture. So that sort of took some precedence on this in my, you know, where you were asking about the thought processes. When I first accepted the show, that was a primary concern, and I started thinking about projections and how much we see projections now in other media, particularly in television.
That's great.
When I saw was the Grammys, they used projections
Oh, yeah.
to the max, and I thought, God, wouldn't it be great if we could do something like that? And then I started talking to projection people and hearing numbers like, well, for $800 a week, you can have this projector or that projector. That'll fill the screen. I'm like, $800 a week. Yeah, my budget is about $800.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
so you know, after talking with 3 or 4 different companies, I got to the point that I knew that I wasn't going to have state of the art. So, you know, I've always been kind of a MacGyver kind of character in theater. He's my hero. So after pricing screen material for rear projections at something about I think about $4,000 for what I wanted to do, I said, well, wouldn't that just work on a bed sheet? And I went to Anna's and bought 2 bed sheets and had them stitched together and framed it, and yeah, it worked.
Yeah, because the scrim, they were trying to. I know what they were trying to sell you.
Oh
On.
yeah, it's a
You're right.
very specific rear
right.
projection material through Rosebrand in New York, and it was for the 2 screens that I needed to build. It would have cost $4,000.
Right. They're very
I,
proud.
I
of
wish y'all could have seen this. I mean, I was there one day working with them backstage, and Don is there on his hands and knees building this this frame for the screen, and I'm thinking, this is going to be the screen. And he says, even at one point said, Mark, can you build a frame? I said, no way, I'm not touching. Son of a gun, they're up, and the idea,
They
I mean, it was
worked.
genius.
They
And the
worked great.
thing is, every other production would be, I don't need to tell them what they're going to be, foolish if they don't take advantage of this. You could, like I say, you could say, hey, I'm in Egypt or whatever. and
Exactly.
have
It's-
pyramids
it's-
back there or
It does.
whatever.
It does work. You know, we used it only a little bit in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, where we projected the chief's nightmare dreams, and it was extremely effective.
Oh,
we,
that's a good
We
idea.
projected them right over him. I built the set the day room at the Nut House was gray. I mean, it was almost it was very monotone. I didn't have any pictures on the walls, so we projected right on the face of the set, and we were able, when the chief was having his nightmares, we had these crazy clock things going, and we had pictures of salmon jumping in the river. What he was talking about is the best one was when Murphy and the chief were walking to get their shock treatments. We found a video of a camera going down an old hospital wall, so the tile everywhere, and the camera was just going down this wall, and they sat there and moonwalked with the projection on them, and it was incredible.
That is, just listening and watching Don. I hope you see the YouTube version of what we did today. Whenever it gets back, it gets on YouTube. Is watching how animated he is when he talks about this, and how excited he gets, and you totally forget that you're on the Mark and Cindy show, don't you, Don?
Absolutely.
It's amazing. I
Oh,
mean-
before we can't forget, and time is filled with
Of the
swift
essence,
transition.
yes.
But Don, tell us about the Lincoln Project. He's a one-man act Lincoln, Abe Lincoln, during Gettysburg. It
started last year when my dear wife, who works at the library, was sitting in on a meeting, and they were getting ready to do a oh my gosh. Words sometimes just escape me.
Oh, don't get me started.
Family history, genealogy.
Oh, genealogy.
The genealogy
Yes.
department was going to do a program in their summer reading, their family program, and they were sitting around talking, and the head of genealogy says, well, my family's connected to Lincoln, so this year I'm going to do that whole Lincoln genealogy thing. And somebody said, wouldn't it be great if we had a Lincoln, somebody that would come and do Lincoln? And my wife, who had been hearing me talk about doing this for 3 years, at least 3 years, because I'm a total Lincoln nut, she says, well, I know somebody that'll do it. And that's where it started. So I put together a 45-minute piece, and I did it for the library, and I just had an incredibly wonderful time. And fortunately, my craggy old face works as Lincoln.
Oh, it does, and it's not correct. But yes,
Did they videotape it or?
Yeah, I have
Okay.
the video of it. But we did. I pared it down to about 35 minutes there, and it was the celebration of the 250th anniversary of the 250 or the 200 of the Gettysburg, the Battle of Gettysburg.
I'll do some math on that later.
Anyway, numbers are not my thing.
How did you do the make?
Numbers ain't my
Did you
thing.
go on the internet and say, okay, I need to do this or that, or how did you do the makeup?
Well, having thought about Lincoln and doing a one-man Lincoln show for many years, there are many images of Lincoln posted in my office. I mean, when I walk in, Lincoln's the first person I see as I walk through my office door. But I gathered a lot of photos, and I stuck them on my bathroom mirror, and just studied them, and started combing my hair a certain way, and started thinking about how I could, will my beard grow like his, and if I scrunch my face this way, it really looks more like his prenasal folds, and if I get that little wart in the right place,
That is
okay. The voice.
that's
How
great.
did you come up?
Well, the descriptions of Lincoln's voice say that it was almost irritating. that it was
Hey, I can do that.
high pitched.
Yeah.
So basically, I would do my do re mi fa so do re mi fa. Okay, that's the pitch I need to be for Lincoln, so I get it way up here, and well, folks, and it is irritating.
Yeah.
But the words that he says
Right.
are so profound that people obviously overlook that because he was a powerful orator.
Yeah.
And believe me, it wasn't his voice that was good; it was his.
what he was
It was
saying.
what he was saying,
Right.
and his sense of humor. He had that dry sense of humor that could, just win people over so easily.
But being a tall figure, and you feel like this tall figure, even though he was very thin, and they think, but when a voice comes out of somebody that you think is going to be very,
Exactly.
commanding and all that,
Exactly.
and then to have it opposite, that's cool. And even at Walt Disney, at the one in Orlando, the first time I saw where all the presidents were there and they were moving and all that, and Lincoln stands up to talk. It was amazing. Now, and how they chose, how he spoke and all that is what we think because we've seen movies. It's not really like what you did was the research to know like where his voice would be.
Well, I tried to be because it would have been much easier to go 407
Right,
years
because
ago.
that's exactly. I love that.
But that's not who he was, and everything that I read about him. I've read a lot over the last 6 years of Lincoln, but everything said his voice was just almost at the pitch of being irritating.
I've never heard that before. That is wonderful.
You
I
know,
love behind the scenes stuff.
When I think about, if I could go back in the, in the past and see people, who would I want to see? You can think of biblical characters, but just to listen to Lincoln, George Washington, and all that,
Yes.
we would learn a whole bunch from that.
Wait, now I have something, and if you got something you need to say, because we're coming up to our break, but I just wanted to ask this of Don. Don, if you were casting a radio show, a morning radio show, and Mark and I came in to audition for that, how would you go about telling us whether we were right or not for this show?
That is
That is a tough question. Well, of course, and it would depend on what kind of radio show it was.
Exactly.
As a wake up and be happy kind of thing, I'd say you two
it's
were
romper room.
perfect.
Or me. Come
Yeah, or
on.
Dick.
There's
Yeah,
another
Dick
person
should,
here.
And you're the owner. You're probably you bring Don in and say audition. We need to audition people for a new morning show, and so we don't know exactly the characters. We need to build those characters and do all that, and we decided to just jump the shark on that, and we just said we're going to do this the way we want to do it. And after you're 60 years old, you say whatever you want to say. It's okay.
It's perfect.
See, there you
it's
go. And
just
then we can
perfect.
have people and have fun. That's what we really
Well,
want, is just have fun on the thing.
Don could say,
So we
whatever
try.
I got here, I could realize I'm not going to change him. So I don't know if I want to do this or not. One thing I wanted to find out is we were talking earlier about what is coming up with respect to your Lincoln performance and all, and what's happening.
Well, I'm most fortunate that someone saw my performance at the library and mentioned it to Annette Spikes with the Conroe Symphony.
Yes.
And I know Annette, and she asked to see the pictures, and she saw my pictures and was, she said, well, we'd like to have you considered appearing with us when we do the Portrait of Lincoln, the Aaron Copland Symphony, for our patriotic concert in June. And I was like, well, how does that work? She said, well, there's lines that we usually have read by the narrator that are actually lines from different speeches that Lincoln made. I thought, wow, that's perfect. So that's what I'm working on right now. I've just pulled those speeches out and started relearning some of them and brushing them up. So yeah, I'm really excited.
June the what?
June 28th. And it'll be at the Conroe High School, the Conroe Symphony Orchestra. Aaron Copland, Portrait of Lincoln.
Will you come back and promote that? Again,
Yes, we need
please?
that.
Sure.
We would love to have you back.
Next play, do you have one? Oh, I guess you don't, do you?
Well, I do, actually. We've selected our next season, and I'm doing a play called Almost Maine, which is a fun little play. I actually have done this play before, and I kind of have a rule about doing plays more than once, but this was an exception. I did it at Magnolia High School, at Magnolia West High School when I was teaching there, and I did it with high school students who did a great job. But I want to do it with adults.
Yes.
You know, it's 7 scenes that are, it's totally relationship scenes. There's only 2 and 3 people in each scene. These people, most of them know each other. They live in this tiny, tiny town way, 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 way up in Maine. And all of the transitions between the scenes are created through a special effect of the Northern Lights.
Oh, my word.
But it's a Valentine's
I love the
Day
name,
present.
too. M-A-N-E.
Oh,
Maine.
that's awesome. That would be great.
You know, I'm thinking of Jessica Hansinger from Maine.
You and me both.
I tell you, that girl.
Yeah, I've already approached her.
Yeah,
And
and she
she
lives in
400
that very. That
yeah, that's right.
vicinity.
That's right. Already lives there.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we are Bellbit here. We're going to come back in just a few minutes with the encouraging word. Don Hampton has been here. Don, thank you so much. It was really
Yay,
great.
Don.
I could,
Don.
you know, he just brings out. He's a teacher. I could talk about that for a long
Don't
time
you
too. But,
don't you go anywhere. You have to
sheesh.
hear the encouraging
We'll be
word
back
from
in
Mark.
just a minute,
okay.
ladies and gentlemen, with
Mark and
little
Cindy
more.
show.
Does anybody really know what time it is?
Hello, I'm Bonita DeRosa, Animal Control Officer for the City of Willis. We invite you to tune in to Lone Star Internet Radio every first and third Thursday of the month at 11 a.m. for the Willis Hour. On the first Thursday of the month, the Willis Hour will be covering upcoming events and news about the city. Join in the conversation with your city officials and other leaders in the community. On the third, we will be doing a recap of the last City Council meeting. The mission of the City of Willis is to provide high-quality services, accountability, and professional commitment to our citizens. We pledge to provide those who live, work, and visit our city an effective government that is open and responsive to the needs and values of the community. Again, we invite you to tune in on Lone Star Internet Radio every first and third Thursday of the month at 11 for the Willis Hour.
I'm Lauren Maddox for Lone Star College System. Discover all that Lone Star College Montgomery offers at Maverick Mania Open House, coming to Lone Star College Montgomery on Tuesday, April 1st from 4:30 to 7 p.m. Take a campus tour, visit with representatives from every academic program, and get your admissions and financial aid questions answered. There will even be information on the academic and workforce programs offered at Lone Star College Conroe Center. Those who pre-register online and then attend the event will be eligible for a prize drawing for free tuition for the fall semester. So plan now to attend Maverick Mania at Lone Star College Montgomery on Tuesday, April 1st. All the details are online at lonestar.edu/openhouse-Montgomery. I'm Lauren Maddox for Lone Star College System.
Hi, I'm Joyce with the Corner Pub in downtown Conroe. We're located at the corner of Simonton and North Main, just across the street from the courthouse. The week starts off Monday with open mic hosted by Alan, and Tuesday nights open mic hosted by Jeremy Bankhead. And on Thursday evening, McFarland Jams. There's nightly drink specials available every night, all night. And don't forget, live entertainment every weekend. To see a full list of events, visit our website at thecornerpubinconroe.com. So come join us at the Corner Pub, where the deli is open late.
And I was walking down the street one day, being pushed and shoved by people trying to beat the clock.
Hello, everybody. We're back. Mark and I sometimes stare at each other like
We do. Who
Go
are you going to
ahead.
say something?
You
Dick,
say
I
it.
wanted to say something. Whatever happened to Peter Cetera? Anybody know? Is he still doing things?
I don't know on the top of my head.
Okay, well, find that out, Dick, please.
He was at the Cynthia Woods. We went and saw.
Was he?
We saw him at
Son
Cynthia
of a
Woods.
gun? Wow.
I hope he hadn't died or anything.
You know,
Okay.
this has nothing to do with anything, and I do need to get with this, but when
Let's
I
talk
think
about
of
it.
big groups, you know, performing, bands and ensembles, and that could be what you call rhetorical, but I think of the group he was with Anyway, and here you got Peter Cetera, and I'm thinking, wow, you got, a total of 50 people up there, and how much is each one getting? How much is that guy over there on the violin getting paid for this? And then you get a rock star up there, YouTube. You got, 4 guys, and think, oh my gosh. Anyway, I think of stuff like that a lot, and I really don't know.
Instead of listening to music,
Exactly.
great.
He's not dead.
Oh, well, that's good.
News.
I was hoping not.
Good news.
I was, the encouraging word has been so encouraging. At least that's the direction I've been moving it, because I get all the negative stuff I can handle in my own brain, beating myself up for things and all. And but today I was thinking, I mentioned we've been talking about Noah too much probably, but I've been seeing recently the number of people who get so upset. People who are Christians and they're I don't know, their heart is just angry. And when I see it, and I don't see myself, and that's another problem I have, the pride, but I see that and I say to myself, who are you going to impress for Christ with that attitude? And I see it so much in politics and in so many things in life, and like these movies or whatever. I'm going to boycott or do this. Boycott. That's really good, but I think we lose sight, and I know I do too, of what Jesus did. I never saw Jesus say, let's topple this Roman Empire. They're torturing people right and left. The Jews, I'm a Jew, but they're doing terrible. He was looking at individuals. He spent time with the lady at the well who was somebody that all the Jews rejected, wanting, to talk to her about her life, the rich young ruler, and all of these individuals. And I think we're losing that. And I was reading a few quotes, and here's one. This comes from Oswald Chamber. He said, if we are going to be ready for Jesus Christ, we have to stop being religious. That sounds hypocritical, but then he puts in parentheses here. We have to stop being religious, using religion as a higher kind of culture, and be spiritually real. And you cannot be spiritually real when you're looking at the other guy and saying, oh, what a mess you are. I wish you knew such and such, or have you ever read your Bible? And I see that. Here's another quote from Chambers. Take care lest you play the hypocrite by spending all your time trying to get others right before you worship God yourself. That sounds maybe hypocritic of me, and if I hear somebody say, oh, did Mark just call me a hypocrite? I am calling myself a hypocrite many times in doing that. I do it myself. It's human nature, and Satan is sitting back saying, I love it, Mark, when you do that. But if we can stop and just pay attention to ourselves, it seems like the lesson many people got from Christ too well was whenever he went in the temple and started, made the whip and beat people and ran them out, and everybody says, that's what God wants me to do. I don't think it is. I think if God wanted to beat out all the people you do not like or you think are heathenistic or whatever, he would have done it. He's looking at you, and he can use me when my heart is tied to him and not tied to what I'm thinking about the guys out there, what they're doing. Oh, they're evil, they're mean, I got to do something about it, or I've got to ban this outfit. You do what you wish, but if we can do it, if Mark can do it with a more loving heart, that would sure be nice.
Well, I think that he gave us certainly an avenue to practice that in a way that once you're baptized, you come up and you're supposed to put on Christ, and you are supposed to die at that point. The personality that's all hurt by everybody and is wondering what you think about me. Do you like me and all that? That person walks out of that experience going like, okay, I now am living for somebody else, and I've taken on his name, and this is not as difficult as I thought because it's not me anymore. Yeah. And I think it makes it easier for everybody to do that. But that's the hardest concept for us to understand is to, except for an actor that might be able to take off the role of who he was playing, and now I'm going to play Christ now and become him. So I think he does give us a way to be able to greet all the things and the slings and arrows and all the stuff that's coming at us because it's not me anymore. I can't be hurt anymore. Yeah. So I think there is a way for us to get out of that.
You're so right. And it's right. It's nothing you haven't thought about, but I just need constantly reminded of things like this. And anything I ever tell you here, I've heard one preacher say I plagiarize. It's plagiarism. Yes, this is not Mark all of a sudden saying, oh my gosh. And I have had some epiphanies, but nothing.
Yes.
I think they were for me more than anything else. But right now, for everyone else, we need to leave this place. Again, Don Hampton, thank you
Thank
so
you, Don.
much.
Thank you
were
for having
wonderful.
me.
Tomorrow,
Appreciate it.
we don't have Don Hampton here. And
It's just Mark and I.
It's just Mark and I.
Mark
Oh,
and
my
me,
word.
Mark and me. And Mark and Cindy show will be here tomorrow. And you know what we have on this plan for you is so weird,
It's-
so crazy. You never know what to expect. And that's what we want to surprise you every morning. So be with us tomorrow at 10 a.m. on
Thanks,
the Mark and Cindy
Dick,
show.
you did a great job, Bub.
Thank
Way
you,
to go.
Richard. We always act like it's two different people, but it's
Oh,
just the same person.
synopsis.
And remember, God loves you.
On the radio, 10 to 11 a.m. Well, it's Mark and Cindy, they've got a morning show.
Hey everyone, this is Tina, your host from Retro Saturdays. I wanted to invite you to visit the Lone Star Studios here in downtown Conroe, Texas. We're all volunteers here, and we need your help in serving the Montgomery County area. Radio media is a fun field to be in. Lone Star Internet Radio serves Montgomery County with news, current events, local programming, and of course, music. If you are interested in volunteering and sharing your talents in media, go to irlonestar.com and let us hear from you. Lone Star Internet Radio, serving Montgomery County from the heart of downtown Conroe.